Thank you so much for coming to see us, Congressman.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Excited.
Yes, there's a lot of energy today on Media Row, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. I've kind of been up and down a little bit, and whew, people are excited. It's a great thing to see.
Now, just to get started here, you were there for the Speaker of the House vote. Can you walk us through and just paint a picture of what that was like?
Man, look. The first part was, it was actually really interesting to see a situation where nobody really knew how it was going to play out. And it really required members to talk, engage, figure something out, a lot of negotiations, 5 days of just back and forth. But I think what it really did is it made our conference stronger. It restored the House the way the House is supposed to be.
Debate.
It's supposed to be debate. It's supposed to be an open process. It's supposed to be taking these matters seriously, not just doing everything by acclamation.
Right. Now, many Americans are familiar with big tech censorship and the Twitter files. What can you tell us about the Twitter files for those at home who may not be sure what all of this is about?
Well, look, the Twitter files comes down to something very, very simple. Elements of our government have been directly engaging with the social media companies to either suppress content, remove content, limit the amount of eyes that can see content for what they feel is misinformation or disinformation. And what we've seen now in the aftermath of all of this intrusion by elements of our government is they were wrong. They were wrong on the Hunter Biden laptop story. They were wrong about COVID oranges. They were wrong about what's better between vaccine immunity versus natural immunity. They've been wrong on these things. They were wrong on masking, but they were trying to push narratives, and they used the weight of government to force social media companies to set the narrative for what's going on in the United States. That stuff is wrong. And so, yeah, Congress is going to get to the bottom of it. We are going to hold those various actors accountable.
And you actually sat in during one of these committee hearings, because you're on one of the committees, and you were able to talk to big tech executives. What did you have to say to them?
Well, my first question was, well, who did you talk to at the FBI? And they go, oh, well, we didn't talk to the FBI. I said, well, I got emails that say you did. Because I got emails internally between Twitter execs of you saying, yeah, we got more from these groups. Or they were talking with the Democrat National Committee. Or they were talking with the Joe Biden presidential team. And we're like, what are these tweets? Are these like somebody making fun of Joe Biden? No, they were like very detailed pieces of information they didn't want out. And that is suppressing the political speech of the American people. It's not just candidates that have political speech. Individuals have that as well. And so you can't have a situation where you have actors in our government deciding to put their finger on the scale of speech. It is the right. It is the protected right. It's the right that's been fought for long before there was in America. Going as far back as Magna Carta, there was these rights that people have been fighting for. And the last thing that we want to see is elements of our government suppressing it or shaping it for their own purposes, their own desires.
It's funny that in the land of the free, we are being censored, and we do not have the right to free speech in some arenas. Am I correct in saying that?
I think that's accurate. And I think what's happening now is we're starting to come out of that really a dark phase in our country. We're coming out of that. Listen, I don't have to agree with everything that you say, but I 100% respect your right to say it.
Absolutely.
And it's up to me as an individual to listen to you or listen to somebody else, put it all together, and then make a decision. Because I'm a thinking human being. I'm allowed to have my own thoughts too. I'm allowed to draw my own conclusions. That's what has made America the exception in world history, is that we've empowered that and we've embraced that. And we want to make sure we continue it.
Absolutely. Now, my last question for you is this. How can Americans combat against big tech censorship?
Well, I think the first part is what's already started, frankly. People speaking out relentlessly. Because what that does, it puts pressure on these companies. These companies, there's people in these companies too. They have to respond to that. The second piece is we've been bringing this stuff to light, and now, frankly, they're embarrassed because they're being called out for their stuff.
That's right.
And then the third piece is there's a bill we passed, HR 140 out of oversight, that would actually prohibit government actors from engaging with social media companies. The other thing that we're going to have to look at is Section 230, which is something that hasn't been talked about a little bit, but reforms to Section 230 I think are needed. because we have to be making sure we do everything that you have an ability to spread your ideas as an American. That is your right, and we don't want anybody to stop you from doing that. And we know the areas where it's not, like child pornography, and if you're trying to incite violence directly, and I know the left's vision of inciting violence is so broad and wide open, it's really ridiculous. But we know the things that are really precluded from that. But come on, that's not the stuff we're arguing about. It's about you being able to share your political viewpoints, your political thought. That should be an easy thing to do here in America.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining me today.
All right, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. And to further support Judicial Watch, please visit judicialwatch.org. Thank you.